I'm Technomancer, creator of Essentials, and this is my tutorial on the mod. So first of all, this is a total look through and an explanation of basically every feature. This is going to be a long video. If you just want a quick spotlight on the mod, an overview of the features and what it can do, there's another video linked in the description which is more of a spotlight. It's around 10 minutes. But anyway, Essentials is a mod about automation, it's about Vanilla Plus style gameplay, it's about features that fit into vanilla Minecraft without changing the game too much and without feeling out of place. It doesn't try to replace vanilla features, it tries to work with them. And while there's a whole bunch of stuff, including features that aren't so automation themed, it's mainly themed around stuff that helps you automate things more easily or lets you automate more things in the game. I should also note that this tutorial is made on Essentials 1.16.4-2.9.5. If you're on a newer version, which you probably are, some things might have changed, so use the in-game guidebook for that. And speaking of the in-game guidebook, this mod does have an in-game guidebook, if Patchouli is installed, which is another mod, and which you should definitely use. Because this book has basically everything you could ever want to know about the mod in here, all neatly arranged. And this book is not hard to make at all. So, I'm going to walk through every feature, mostly in order that they appear in the book, but with a few out of order, mind the explosions. A few out of order, just to try and explain things better. So we're going to skip the analog lamp and come back to it, and start with animal feed. Animal feed's a pretty simple feature, and there was some in the dispenser, but we ran out. And what it is it's basically a thing that lets you automate animal breeding. It's food that can be eaten by any animal can eat to breed, like wheat or carrots would be, but for any animal. And dispensers can use it, which is what makes it special. Normally you can't breed animals with dispensers. And that's the main holdup on most animal farms is you can't automate the breeding. And it's pretty easy to make this stuff. You basically just cook anything you can feed to an animal. So that's pretty easy to automate. I could have made a farm, I didn't, but I could have set up a farm to automatically make it and feed it into this cow machine. Which is not a great one, but still. So animal feed's pretty straightforward. Auto crafting, a little more advanced. Go over here. There's an auto crafter in the middle of this hopper mess. This is what they look like. And this lets you automatically craft things, as you expect. So, let me just clear this out. And also remove this hopper, which is going to be doing things. There's two ways you can put in a recipe. You can either put in a recipe by going into the recipe book and clicking the thing you want to craft. So, crossbow, and it puts the recipe in. These are ghost items. They're not real items, so you can't take them or anything. Or, you can put it into JA, just click the plus, if just enough items is installed, and that puts the recipe too. The other way to put it in is the manual way, where you actually have to remember the recipe, which I don't. Hold on. Okay. And you can actually just click the items in. And generally, you can use either method, except if you're doing something with custom ingredients like fireworks. Fireworks are a thing that just doesn't show up in the vanilla recipe book because they have NBT, so you have to put things like firework recipes in manually. The other thing about this is these are the 9 input slots. This is showing you what you're going to craft. This is getting a ghost item, and this is the output. Now, you can't just put anything in the input slots. Only things that are actually in the recipe can go in the input slots. So, I can't activate a rails, there's none of those in the recipe. Put it in there, it will let me, but it's not a real recipe. Also, you can only put as many stacks in as there are as are used in the recipe. So, for example, there's 1 iron in this recipe. I'm only allowed to use 1 slot for iron. I'm clicking now, it's not letting me put it in. See, unless I move it out, and then, yeah. And automation, like hoppers, will respect this. So, can't put that in. I'm allowed 3 stacks of sticks because there's 3 sticks in the recipe. And if I just take one out just to show this. And put in one stick to fill out the stack, but no more because now it's filled 3 slots. And this is a good thing because it means you can't have hoppers just fill them all the slots with sticks, and you wouldn't be able to put any tripwire hooks or string or iron in. So this is just to make sure that you don't clog up the inputs. So once you've got all the ingredients in there, you just give this thing a redstone pulse, and it crafts 1 crossbow. See? Every time it gets a pulse, it crafts 1 item, and the crafted items can be pulled out the bottom. And every time I hit the lever, another crossbow is made and pulled out. Now, one thing I would like to point out, because people keep making this mistake and reporting it as a bug, it's not a bug. If you put a lever on an auto crafter and power it, that's a redstone signal, which is also a redstone signal on these neighboring hoppers. Here's a vanilla Minecraft fact for you. Redstone signals disable hoppers. Please stop reporting that hoppers can't put into auto crafters when you just left the lever on. Anyway, carrying on, that's just a pet peeve of mine, is getting that particular bug report. Carrying on, this also works with things that return ingredients, like if you make a cake, that recipe in, and it'll spawn in all the ingredients of the cake. The buckets will be returned properly, so that works as you'd expect. And the hopper at the bottom can pull out the returned empty buckets. So if I just demonstrate that. And what else is there? Sugar. Just do that. Nothing in the output. Flip the lever. Oh, it was already a lever, and we get 3 buckets and a cake, which were pulled out, as you'd expect. So that all works fine. Alright, next thing on the list, Brazier. Brazier does a lot of different things, some of which are useful and some of which are just technical. So the way the Brazier works is there's certain items that can go in it, like for example glowstone, and a Brazier can only hold one at a time, and you just put it in with a right click and can pull it out with a right click. So the different things that can go in it are water, lava, glowstone, coal block, and soul sand. And I know this seems kind of random, but there's a reason. So with water in it, it acts like sort of like water. If you're on fire and you stand in it, it puts you out. If you can't take fall damage from landing on it, it protects you like you're landing in water. So, and this works for entities too. With lava, it burns things, but doesn't start fires near it. So you can use this as a safe trash can in your base without having to worry about starting fires, and it will stay on fire. Coal is basically just decorative. It emits the same light level as a torch, but other than that, it's just decorative. Glowstone, basically just decorative, same light level as glowstone. Soul sand's the interesting one. Soul sand does 2 things, and this is basically for mob farms, which is within 32 blocks of the Brazier. Endermen cannot teleport, and witches cannot spawn. Spawners can still spawn witches and stuff, but natural witch spawning is disabled. And the reason for that is that those are both a real pain for mob farms. Like, witches being able to drink fire resistance and healing potions basically means that you can only use instant kill mechanisms for mob farms, which is really just limits the number of possible designs, because it means you can pretty much only drop them off a 30-block cliff or something like that. So now you can disable witch spawns, control enderman teleportation, and just be able to farm things that much more easily. Candle lily pad is basically decorative. It's a lily pad that also emits the same light as a torch. And it's convenient for things like farms because you can put it in the middle of your field and light up the field, and also at the same time stop yourself from falling in the water. But it is basically decorative. Circuitry we're going to come back to. Extra recipes we can skip. Essentials adds a recipe for name tags and saddles. You can turn that off if you don't want that. Fertile soil. Fertile soil has a lot of flavors. Wheat, potatoes, oak, birch, Neapolitan. That's a joke, obviously. Basically, one for every crop, pretty much. And what it does is if you place it it slowly creates the seed plant on it over time, just randomly. I've done a bunch of it. This is wheat fertile soil. So if we give it a moment, it's random. There we go. It made a wheat seed. And the reason for this is that in vanilla Minecraft, there's basically no way to replant things automatically other than villagers, and that only works for a few plants. So this lets you, with auto farming, just plant automatically. So the full list of variants is the 4 basic crops, netherwort, the saplings, sweet berry bush, and the 2 mushrooms. Right, that's pretty simple. Oh, also, it acts as, you don't need water for it, and it can't be trampled. It's a bit too expensive to use for normal farms, though, like a big wheat field. I mean, you can if you want, but Fluid shifters we're going to come back to. The hopper we are going to do now. So sorting hoppers and high throughput hoppers. These are the high throughput hoppers, are the golden ones, and the sorting hoppers are the orangey copper ones. And what these do is they act almost like normal hoppers, almost, with one sort of subtle difference that's really important. Which is, let me show you this. Let's say I have 2 chests and I have just a column of hoppers. What happens when you put things in the top hopper? Well, you might think they end up all in the top chest, but what really happens is they sort of get split because this bottom hopper pulls out things while this is still doing stuff, so you ended up in a mix. The sorting hoppers, if I do that, they're all going to go to the top chest, none in the bottom. And the reason for that is items cannot be pulled from a sorting hopper until it's done pushing. So as long as this andesite has somewhere to go in this chest, nothing can be pulled from this sorting hopper. Not by a normal hopper, not by a sorting hopper, not by a pipe. And just to demonstrate what I mean by while it still has somewhere to go, if I fill this thing up with something else, and then put more andesite in this thing, it'll go in this sorting hopper, it'll see, oh, there's no more space to go in this chest, I'm gonna let this other thing pull out of me. So why is this called sorting? This is called sorting because if you have something that says, because, let's say you want, here's a really simple example, you've got a sorting system and you want all of your wood to go in the top chest and you want everything else to go in the bottom chest. Well, before you would need to set up the very generic system we've all seen a million times with a comparator and 17 items in the first slot of a hopper for some reason, just to sort out wood planks. But now, you just do this and wood planks all go to the top. Alright, and everything else goes to the bottom. And high throughput hoppers do the exact same thing, except they move one full stack of items at a time. See? Instead of individuals. So they're much faster, but more expensive. They take gold. This is a lot more powerful when we combine it with our next feature, the hopper filter. Hey, this works really well with sorting hoppers, but you can use it with normal hoppers too. So let me take this out. We're going to get to this in a moment. Just here. So there's 2 ways we can use this hopper filter. We can either put it on the bottom or on the top of the normal hopper. So in this configuration, if we put our filter of polished diorite in here, we just right-click it in, then this hopper can push polished diorite through the hopper filter into the chest as if it were directly attached. But if we put something else in, like andesite, it can't. So pipes and hoppers can push things through the hopper filter that match the filter. Okay? Hey, this would be really great to combine with sorting hoppers, because then we don't need to keep this chest full of wooden planks. We just put one wooden plank in the filter. And all the wooden planks end up here, and all the not wooden planks end up down here. Huh. The other way we can use it is we can put the hopper below the filter, and then if we put the chest here, then, and this one's matching andesite, it can pull through the filter, but it can only pull out things that match the filter. Again, pretty simple. And if we want to filter multiple items, instead of just one, we put in a shulker box that has the things we want to filter in it. So now, polished diorite and andesite are in this shulker box. We put those both in here. This is duplicated. Thanks, creative mode. And now this filter is going to match both of these items, but not anything not in the shulker box. Alright? One extra special interaction is, let me put in something else here, is normal hoppers cannot pick up items through the hopper filter. They can move items, but they can't pick up items off the ground through the filter. Sorting hoppers can. So this is specifically sorting and high throughput hoppers, is they can actually pick up items through the filter like that, but only items that match the filter. So if you want to filter items picked up off the ground, you should use a sorting hopper with a hopper filter. And if I say the word hopper again, I think I'm going to break. Item shifter. Oh no, that's the thing that uses the word hopper. Okay. Item shifter. This is a two-part thing, and what it basically is it's a way to move items in straight lines very quickly and very cheap. So this thing has one slot in the UI, and any item that goes in there immediately gets shot out the front. And these things can go up as well. And if there's an inventory there, like a chest, it puts it directly into the inventory, okay? The thing about these shifters is they can also go through chutes. These chutes are very cheap and they're not tile entities. So if we do this, oh, it all went into the chest and it moves a full stack at a time. If you remove the chest, it just drops on the ground at the end of the chute. That's simple. And these can go sideways. Oop. They can go to other item shifters, and so on. And these work, and you're going to see these around using some of the other builds I'm showing off because they're very much convenient, and also unlike hoppers where if you wanted to take things a long distance you need a huge chain of hoppers where each is 5 iron and each one's a ticking tile entity. This is just very cheap, fast, easy, and low lag. And also these can go up, unlike hoppers. Alright, now we're going to go back and do the fluid shifter, which I said I'd come back to. The fluid shifter. Yeah, I said we'll come back to the fluid shifter. It's like an item shifter, but for fluids. And see, it's got a UI, you can put fluids in it. See? And it, again, can push things between inventories but through transport chutes. So, here we go, and all the water's moved. This is not particularly useful in just vanilla and essentials, but if you've got other mods that use fluids, then this becomes useful. But in just vanilla and essentials, this isn't very important or useful at all. Item splitter. Item splitter. And there's two variants of this. And we're going to need a wrench, which is the next item I'm going to show off. Hey, this is, I'm pretty sure you can all guess what a wrench does. It rotates things. That's it. You just right-click things, and they rotate. Only works on modded blocks. It doesn't do anything to vanilla things. Like if I use it on a vanilla hopper, which I have over here, it just opens the UI. So we're going to use this. Item splitter has two forms. Let's start with the basic one, because it's basic. So basically, it splits items cleanly. So if we want, I don't know, we want half our items to go this way and half this way, so we want a 50-50 split. We shift right click to the wrench to configure the ratio. So 1/2 of items, and we put items into it. So we can use a hopper for that. Oh, I don't like that word now, but we can. So if we put in 22 andesite, we're going to see it's going evenly between the two outputs. Right? And this thing can also output through transport chutes. So let's put it up here. So we don't need to output directly into a chest or anything, we can go through chutes. And we can come in through chutes because it's an inventory like any other. See? And this thing can have a bunch of configuration. It doesn't. This is the basic one where you just configure it with a wrench, and it does 12ths. So we don't have to do a 50-50 split. We can have, let's say 1/4 of the items go this way and 3/4 go this way. That's the thing we can do. And then there's the non-basic version, where instead of being configured with a wrench and fixed, it's actually controlled by redstone. So, like a lever. Now the ratio is controlled by redstone, and the tooltip has the formula there, but basically no redstone signal, like this, and everything is going to go out the non-gold side. Full redstone signal, everything comes out the gold side. If I have, let's say, a redstone signal of 5 out of 15, 5/15, aka 1/3, is going to come out this way, and the rest is going to go out that way. So it's if you want to change the value of redstone for some reason. And that also exists for fluids, so there's a fluid splitter and a basic fluid splitter that does the same thing for fluids. I'm not going to demonstrate that. Obsidian cutting kit. No, yeah, we'll do that real quick. And I should really be in survival for this, so I'll do that. This is really just a convenience feature. Feature? Which is that Obsidian takes forever to mine. So if you just get one of these kits, which are fairly cheap, you need to have Obsidian to make these, so you have to be able to get Obsidian already. Is you just right-click on the Obsidian, and it instantly breaks and drops the item and consumes the kit. So if you need to get a lot of Obsidian very quickly for some reason and aren't worried about things like efficiency, this is just a convenient way to do it. Slotted chests. We should really do slotted chests. This is a slotted chest. It's a double chest in one block, but far more important than that is the slots. So if you look at this, here's an example I've already configured. Lots of these slots have an item in them, but only but says 0. So we have 0 redstone dust in the slot. That means only redstone dust can go in that slot. I can't put anything else in. I can put redstone dust in there, but not anything else. That slot has been locked to redstone dust. And automation will respect that. Like hoppers and stuff can only put redstone dust in that slot. Similarly, these empty slots, automation can't pipe items into those empty slots at all. If I try to shift-click an item in, it's going to jump to the first available slot, and it won't look at unlocked slots. Like, I can't shift-click stuff into the unused slots at all. I can put in them manually, taking the item out locks it to that, and then shift left, and then I can shift-click to it. Also, if I shift-left-click this with an empty cursor, it unlocks. This has a couple uses. For one thing, if you want to enforce like a sorting system on your chests, this is a great way to do that. You don't need to leave one of every item in every slot. For another thing, this can be great for sorting systems because, remember, these are just faster sorting hoppers. This is a quick sorting system set up where if these things can only accept things they have slots allocated for, that works great with sorting hoppers. See? And so on. And anything that's unsorted in this system that doesn't have a slot allocated for it ends up in the last chest. So everything goes into the chest I expected it to go. And if you try and hopper out of these, like you put a hopper under one, it will remove the items, but it'll leave the slot locked to the item that was in that. So they work great with automation. What's next? I skipped some stuff. Is it time to go back to those yet? Almost. Wither cannon. So, wither cannon. So in vanilla, there's a way to automatically break blocks, and that is with a live wither in a cage, which is a real pain to set up because it will actively try to kill you. Wither cannon is a player-friendly alternative to that, which is crafted with a nether star, so it still costs a wither, and is a little more friendly in that it doesn't actively try to kill you, and every time it gets a redstone pulse, it just shoots an exploding wither skull, so you can use that to break blocks. So that's pretty straightforward. Oh, and these things can point up and down. And there's a limit on how fast they can shoot skulls. For safety reasons. Alright, I think it's time for circuits. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do circuits. Circuits are my favorite feature in the mod. So I could very easily spend an hour talking about them because I like them so much, but we're not going to do that. So what circuits are like compact redstone circuits in a single block, but they're a lot more powerful than you'd think, and they're very easy and cheap and simple. So they're really a great thing to use with vanilla redstone. And the way you place a circuit is you need two things. You need a wire plates, which are a bit more expensive than normal redstone, and you need this circuit wrench. And it might also be convenient, though you don't need one, to also have a regular wrench. So what you do is you place down the wire plate, and you shift right click the circuit wrench, it opens a UI with a search bar, and you select the circuit you want to make. So I want to make an AND circuit. And now I right click this, and it places an AND circuit. Now if I were in survival mode, that would actually require nether quartz. It consumes one nether quartz every time I make a circuit like that, and the plate will drop a nether quartz when broken. There's a few circuit types that don't need nether quartz. That's an automatic tree farm that I was using for a demo earlier, and it makes exploding sounds every time a tree grows. just don't mind them. These first 5 circuit types, wire plate, junction, splice plate, reader, and constant, are basic circuit types and are free. They don't cost nether quartz. All the others do. So if we show off a couple circuits, here's a normal vanilla AND gate. And the AND gate's only on if both the inputs are on, right? If I use an essentials AND gate, I thought I had one set up. I guess I tore it down for some reason. Okay. Okay. Output's on if both inputs are on. Now that is actually on, it might be hard to see. That's the signal strength of 1 it outputs. And we'll cover why that outputs 1 in a moment. See? Single block. Now, circuits can also be used to do a lot of very advanced things. Far more advanced than just an AND gate. So circuits can carry numbers that normal redstone can't. If I have a wrench in my hand, it'll show me the value of circuits outputting floating above the circuits just for clarity. So I'm just going to have that. So for example, circuits can have negative numbers. They can have numbers that aren't in integers, like 2.5. They can have numbers larger than 15. Here's 17.403. And every time they output the vanilla redstone, they obviously have to round to an integer and cap it at 15. But as long as they're only going between other circuits, they can keep the value without rounding or anything. So that's where wire plate comes in. This wire plate is sort of like redstone dust, but it can carry values between circuits without any rounding or anything like that. Okay? Also, unlike redstone dust where the signal strength gets weaker the farther away you are from the source, circuit wire plates don't do that. It keeps the same strength. You're still limited to 15 blocks like normal redstone, but it stays full strength until the very end where it drops to 0 at the very end. Sorry, I'm talking too long. So an example of that is over here where I've got a whole bunch of circuits set up, some of which are actually useful. So this is an addition circuit. It adds 2 numbers. So here's an input of 3 and an input of 40. Okay, it's hard to see what's going on because I've set up so much stuff here. So 3 plus 40 equals 43. And if I were to output to other circuits, they would see 43. I should probably cover the 4 basic circuit types. So there's wire plates, which just connect to other circuits. There's junctions, which let 2 circuits cross without interfering. I'm just going to put a constant circuit here. so they cross without interfering at all. So for example, this value of 9 is going straight across the junction, and this 40 is going straight across the junction without them crossing at all, without them interfering. The wire splice plate, okay. Redstone dust can connect directly to circuits like here, but it can't connect directly to this wire plate. It doesn't actually connect. So wire splice plate is just a very direct connect wire plate to dust converter, and it works in both directions. So you can also go this way. So that's going to be handy, convenient. Reader circuit. It's basically just a comparator, but it outputs directly to circuits. So I can put like a chest here, and it would read it like a comparator does. See? Basically everything in vanilla, it'll just read the same as a comparator. In other mods, there might be a couple things where reader circuits will measure values that comparators can't, just because they have a bigger range in decimals. But in Essentials and vanilla alone, they're just comparators. Constant circuits are these things, these little squared circuits. And I use these everywhere. They just output a constant that you type in. So this one I typed in 3, so it's outputting 3. You can type in any value you like. You can also put in other things, like if I write pi, it's 3.14159, yada yada. It does the whole thing of pi, or at least as much as it can handle, but it rounds to 3 digits, to 3 decimal points, just for display purposes. It is using all of the values. Euler's number works for E. I can also do expressions, so I can do 3 times 4, and it does 12. If I want to do 34 minus pi to the second power, I'm going to assume that number's right. And so on. So you can just type things in. You can also do scientific notation, so if I wanted to do 7,000, 7 to the third, sorry, 7 times 10 to the third, standard notation. See? So those are pretty handy. Every circuit has a 2 Minecraft tick delay, which is 1 redstone tick. So they have the same. Every circuit has the same delay as a repeater does, with no delay set. Anything else? There's a couple other circuits I should mention. So there's all the math ones, all the logic ones. All the logic ones just look for true or false as 0 or not 0. So as far as the logic ones are concerned, like the AND, 3.5 is the same as 90. They're going to always output 1 for true and 0 for false. The logic ones, which is why the AND gate was outputting 1 earlier. There's a load of math ones. There's conditional ones, like is which number's lower, which input's higher. The red ones do stuff with time. Like this is a clock circuit, and you can just open the UI and set how long does the clock go. So let's say this has a period of 10 ticks and a duration of 5 ticks. That's redstone ticks. This is a clock that goes once every second, and it lasts for half a second, and you can see it's doing that. And I can set it to any duration I want. Like this one's going to take. If it's way too long, it's going to take forever for us to see that. Here, once every 5 seconds. See, it's doing that. Similarly, there's a delay circuit, which is just a repeat, like a configurable delay, and you can set anything you want in ticks. If you want 20 minutes, you can type that in. All these UIs accept expressions as well, so 20 minutes. I'm not going to sit here and wait 20 minutes. Trust me, it works. So that's much more compact than repeaters. There's rising and falling edge, pulse former circuits, basically everything you could want. There's a ton of circuits, and they're super handy. They can be used with vanilla redstone or between other circuits. They're very, very strong. And just to show off how powerful they are, just in terms of flexibility, this is the quadratic formula machine. It just does the quadratic formula. Remember that from school? X equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a? Yeah, this just does that. So here's A, here's B, here's C. I picked random values. Here's the two outputs. Just works with decimals. Have fun building that with vanilla redstone. I could have made this way more compact if I actually cared. This took me like 5 minutes, and I would never be able to build that with vanilla redstone. The next thing up is wireless redstone, which is redstone but wireless. So there's two parts, the transmitter and the receiver. And I'm going to get a linking tool, which is the wrench that sorts for these. So let me get my circuit wrench in my hand. Right click on the transmitter first, right click the receiver, and it links them. And you can see this line when I hold the tool. And now redstone signals just get transmitted, as you'd expect. This can carry circuit signals too. Like if I want to carry a signal of, let's say 3.5, because why not? That carries 3.5. You can also die them, just to help you keep track of what they're all doing. This doesn't consume the die to do. You just color them, and it does it at the output as well. Or I can die it at the output and link the input. One transmitter can link to several receivers at once, and it'll go to all of them at once, but a receiver can only have one transmitter. So one transmitter to as many receivers as you want. They can only be 16 blocks away, so there's a maximum distance you can do these, and it's not very far. You can change that in the config, obviously. But yeah, these are just kind of handy. Analog lamp. That was the very first thing on the list, and that was the very first thing I said we're going to do later, because it's redstone. This is fairly simple, this device. I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to set it to night. It's a redstone, let's do midnight. It's a redstone lamp that emits the light level of the power it gets. So power level 4, light level 4. Power level 9, light level 9. Power level 15, it's light level 15. Unlike a vanilla redstone lamp, which has exactly two states of on and off, of 15 or 0, and it's just really not able to do this sort of thing. Obviously, even though this accepts a circuit input, you can't have light level 2.5 or -9, and it's capped at 15, but it does what you'd expect. Nothing too fancy there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the very last thing on our list, just skimming to make sure I didn't forget something. Nope, all that's left is MultiPistons. We left the best for last. That's a lie. Circuits for the best. We left the second best for last. That doesn't look like the same ring to it. So this is a MultiPiston, this thing here. This is actually a sticky version. There's a sticky and a non-sticky MultiPiston. This one's set up with a wireless control, so I can control it from over here. And what it does is it's a piston that extends as many blocks as it has a redstone signal strength. And it's capped at 15 blocks. You can't give these things a strength signal of 1 billion and have it stretch across the world, even though circuits can go up to 1 billion. It's limited to 15 blocks. It takes 2 ticks per block extended. Normal pistons take 2 ticks to extend, so it makes sense. But it retracts instantly like a normal piston. They can push and pull up to 64 blocks at a time, unlike the normal 12 of normal pistons. If I give this a weaker signal strength, like I give this a signal strength that isn't 15, just to demonstrate that it does have a little more precision than that. Oop, that's right. Let's say 4. See, it goes 4 blocks. These are very handy. There's all sorts of applications you wouldn't think of for these. Like this is a tree farm that uses a couple multi-pistons to push the wood. Also, because they retract instantly, you know how if a piston pushes you with slime, it launches you? If you get pulled hold multiple blocks in one movement, it like if you get moved 3 blocks, it launches you 3 times as hard. So let me just do this. Now this didn't launch me very far because I just hit the ground after a moment because gravity, pesky thing, gravity. But if we, for example, want to go a little crazy and launch ourselves upward, don't try this at home, kids. Or do. I don't know. I'm not your keep. Really? That hits the... How? I thought this was 15 blocks up. Alright. Let me go higher. I should have set this up earlier. Obviously we hit that. There we go. And a little wireless redstone control, so I don't have to make you watch me build a tower of redstone torches, which would not be the greatest viewing. Where's my linking tool? Oh, I forgot to mention, you can clear the links by shift right clicking with this. So shift right clicking, it clears the links. I forgot to mention that earlier. But oh, did I not link that in the end? There we go. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm on a development version of the mod while I'm doing this, and there's a couple weird bugs I introduced recently that will be fixed in the normal release. I thought this was one of them. So this works normally in whatever version you're playing. Terribly sorry about that. Okay, let's just do that. Alright, let's do this. Let's give ourselves a flying send-off. Whoop! There we go. I'm sure you can find a use for this. Even if it's just to torment your friends by launching them into space. So that's essentials. If you have any questions or you just want to chat, you can go on our Discord, which there's a link to in the book. I hope you enjoy the mod, and if you like the mod, you might also want to try out Crossroads, which is the other mod by me, and which, hopefully, if I remember, there'll be a link to in the description. So, you've stuck with me for 43 minutes. You're probably sick of my voice, so have fun. Hope this was helpful, and goodbye.